Hello, this is the Pink Floyd Ranking the Studio Albums video. Before we start, just a few points I want to make. This is the ranking of the 15 Pink Floyd albums, the proper studio albums. I'm not going to include any of the live albums here. I might make a passing reference, but generally we're not including those in this list. I didn't include any of the box sets or the immersion sets. These are my favorites in my rankings, and I've been a Pink Floyd fan since high school. I had Dark Side of the Moon on tape and was driving around listening to that in my first car. And I did a deep dive in 94 and 95 and really the years following that. Of all the bands that I like, this is the most frustrating band for me to be a fan of, just because of the lack of new content and the infighting between the main members of the band. And then, of course, ultimately Rick Wright died in I think like right around 2008. So it was a terrible loss for the band. I did see Roger Waters live in '99 in Charlotte, and I saw Nick Mason's Saucerful of Secrets in 2022 in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and that's been a heavy influence on me in recent years. I've always wanted to see David Gilmour. I wasn't able to do that on an island tour, Rattle That Lock. If he ever comes around again, I might go. But the great shame is that I've never seen Pink Floyd live, and I would love an opportunity to do that. All right, let's not waste any time. I'm going to get right into the rankings. I've got number 5, number 15, soundtrack for the film More, 1969. This is it's not bad. I have, honestly, this is probably the album I've listened to the least out of all of them. And it's not one that really pulls you back in and grabs your attention, like, oh, I really am in the mood to listen to more. I mean, it's not that kind of music. It's a movie soundtrack, and you could really divide the album up into two things. It's the songs that are like real Pink Floyd songs, and then it's the songs that are filler songs. And the filler songs are like, they're meant to fill in time in a movie. This movie called More. So like Up the Khyber, Party Sequence, More Blues, Spanish Peace, Dramatic Theme. These are all quick tracks that really, they don't belong on a proper studio album, but they're in here because of it's a movie soundtrack. The real songs on the album are Cirrus Minor, the Nile Song, the Crying Song, Green is the Color, Cymbeline, Main Theme, Isabar Blues, which is really it's the riff from the Nile Song Part 2. It really is the Nile Song Part 2. And then Quicksilver is a good track. But I've got this last. I think it fits there. It's not bad to listen to, but maybe if you could just make a playlist and take out all the filler tracks, you'd probably enjoy it quite a bit. Cirrus Minor is the opening track, and right away you hear the birds chirping and the do-do-do theme, and that's quite, that birds chirping thing it's really a Pink Floyd thing. They really love to mix in the sound effects on the records, and you get it right here way back in 1969. So we'll reserve this for the last spot. Not a bad album, but not great. I would say a good effort. I wish it didn't have the filler tracks. Number 14 is The Endless River from 2014. I bought this nice little box that came with it. What is this? So they recorded this back in 93 with the Division Bell, and these are the leftover tracks that they had named the Big Spliff. And there were all these rumors that Pink Floyd had recorded a double album and didn't release it. Well, we finally got it in 2014. They did a proper mix and re-recorded some stuff. It's okay. It's better than the More. But this is yoga music only. It's mainly instrumental. There's one track that has singing, which is Louder Than Words, which is an okay song. But, for me, it's yoga music. It's not even in my top 5 for yoga music. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's completely self-referential. Most of the songs are trying to take you back to the 70s or the 80s, to previous Pink Floyd. Like, they're just borrowing and stealing from other songs. So track 4 does that. Track 4 is called Some. And it just reminds me of One of These Days with the drumming and the slide guitar, and there are other tracks where I hear other just Pink Floyd stuff in there. Ebb and Flow is probably the best song on the album. It's you hear a lot of Rick Wright synth on it, and it reminds me of Shine On You Crazy Diamond with some of the sounds that they make, and there's some great guitar squawking by David Gilmour. And ultimately, why did they make this and release it? It's a tribute to Rick Wright, and he sort of dominates this album. And I like, it's okay to listen to, but other than yoga music, or maybe you're trying to fall asleep at night, that's really what it's reserved for. This one track called Allensy 1 is quite good. And then two tracks later, Allensy 2 is pretty good too. But that's it. This is the proper release of the Big Spliff, and I've got it at number 14. Number 13 is the Ummagumma studio album. There's not too much to say about this album. Each member wrote a song and did a solo spot. By the way, cool album cover by Storm Thorgerson. Took this picture and made this effect. It's a cool picture. The best of these tracks are Sisyphus. Now what they did was they divided up the tracks into part 1, part 2, and part 3 for all of them. Sisyphus is the first 4 tracks. It's a Rick Wright song, and it's got this really creepy keyboard and synth parts and a mellotron part, and that sort of holds the whole album together. Roger Waters did a couple of songs, Grantchester Meadows. It's one of his slower acoustic songs. It's probably better than If. And several species of small fury animals together in a cave and grooving with a pick. He's like Roger Waters doing a lot of Scottish gibberish and making some animal sounds and some thumps. It's not really a song. It's just a bunch of sounds you hear. And then The Narrow Way is David Gilmour's contribution. The music's okay. You can't hear him singing, and it's probably embarrassed of the lyrics and not his best effort, but it's okay to listen to. And then Nick Mason did the Grand Vizier's Garden Party. I mean, I don't really know. You hear some flute, which is kind of nice, and then it just sounds like he's tuning his drums, like do 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 do. I don't know. Probably it's a better effort than the Endless River, but they're exploring here. And that's generally what it is. They're getting ready for their next great effort, Ummagumma. Or Ummagumma, you might call it. All right, number 12, and now we're starting to get into some albums that I really like. I've got the Final Cut from 1983. Now, this is interesting. This is really a Roger Waters-driven album. Rick Wright's not on it. The band's going through some turmoil. This is really the band being lost after the wall. Uninspired, low-impact musical ideas. But there's great singing by Roger. He puts a lot of passion into it, a lot of emotion. And it's all of his inspiration about the Falkland Wars in Argentina. It's not a great concept, but still good songs. There's some great solos on here. Really great guitar solos by David Gilmour. And the way they recorded it, the microphone is so sensitive, and it's almost like you can hear Roger Waters right on top of it. And it's so sensitive, it's picking up, like when he's about to sing, you can hear him breathe, or you could hear his mouth open or his tongue. Like, you can hear sounds like that. And that's what makes it cool, is they just really, they made it an emotional recording. Now, it has a song, Your Possible Past, and what's really interesting, you ever lose anything and you just can't find it, and you've looked and looked and looked, and has that ever happened to you? Well, when I pulled this out the other day, I was singing to myself Your Possible Past, and I wanted to look at the album, the lyrics. So I opened up the jewel case, and inside was my Alice in Chains Dirt CD. which is crazy because I lost it around 2008. And I've been looking for it ever since, and it's like driving me crazy. And then on Sunday when I was singing that song to myself, Your Possible Pass, I found Dirt. I found my Alice in Chains Dirt CD, and I couldn't believe it. But what does that mean? Like, that means I haven't listened to this since 2008. So how great is it really? I mean, I really like the album, but if I haven't listened to it in that long, it's not that great. And for me, that was a tiebreaker with some other albums. But I do like Your Possible Past. Do you remember me? How we used to be? Do you think we should be closer? I think it's a great line. I love the Fletcher Memorial Home, and I like the final cut. Not Now, John is okay. If you got David Gilmour kind of screaming, doing his grunting thing, and a great guitar spot. And then it's got a good ending with Two Suns in the Sunset. So that's the final cut, 1983. Number 11, I have the Division Bell from 93. Now, this one, you can tell, by the way, cool album cover, especially compared to the final cut. I mean, what a boring album cover. But they brought Storm Thurgeson back in to do this, and he made the sculpture and took that photo. That's a great album cover, and it's an inspired album. You can tell they're inspired. You've got Rick Wright back in the band, and he's helping to write the songs this time, and they wrote a bunch of good songs, and they took their time recording it, so what's not to like about it, you know? My favorites are What Do You Want From Me, A Great Day for Freedom, and Wearing the Inside Out. And Coming Back to Life, you can really hear the Bob Ezrin influence as a producer. By the way, I do have a bone to pick with Bob Ezrin, and I'll get into it. And I'll record when I do my Kiss video. I'll really get into the Bob Ezrin thing. But I just kind of wonder what his role is here as a producer. You can hear his influence in some of the songwriting and arrangements, but I'm not sure what he did. I heard he had a bunch of bad ideas too. By the way, Lost for Words, good song. And then High Hopes is a great song at the end. And two great instrumentals, too, in Cluster 1 and Marooned. You can really hear the Rick Wright influence, and I really like those instrumentals. And this is a great album. You know, if you want to listen to it, it's versatile. So driving around, maybe you're on a work break, you can listen to it while you're working. You can listen to it during yoga or exercise or whatever. It's great for anything. All right, number 11, the Division Bell. Number 10, 1987, A Momentary Lapse of Reason. Another great album cover by Storm. You got the river of beds on the beach. And that's sort of the theme is, you know, they recorded these two albums on the riverboat, and they took this photo to capture that idea. The best song on here is Sorrow, and I guess that's the tiebreaker for me, is why do I have this better than the Division Bell? I really like Sorrow. It's really like a hard rock driving guitar song. It's got Learning to Fly. I love that song and the chord sequence of Learning to Fly and the lyrics. It's just a good tunes. The Dogs of War is okay. I know it's not popular with Floyd fans, but I like it. On the Turning Way is a great song. And there's two excellent instrumentals on this one too, probably better than the Division Bell ones. I would say they are better. Signs of Life, you can sort of hear the Wish You Were Here influence, which is what they were going for this album, to make it sound more like Wish You Were Here. And then Terminal Frost has a Vangelis type or Vangelis type feel to it. But like this album, and I've got it at number 10. Momentary Lapse of Reason, 1987. Number 9, I have The Wall. It's a double discer. You know, it gets off to a good start with In the Flesh, and then it has In the Flesh on the back end too, on second half of disc 2. So it gets off to a really good start, and that's what makes it a good album, is the start. For me, for me, what makes an album good is, do I like the first track, and does it make sense, and does it segue into better songs or good songs? And in this case, it does. Now, this is a concept album written by Roger Waters, and the concept of the story is a little bit juvenile. You know, it's really all about him, or influenced by his own life and his own story, and you know, sort of pulled from Syd Barrett's story as well. But you know, it's the tracks that why I have it ranked at number 9 ahead of the Division Bell and A Momentary Lapse of Reason. I guess that's the tiebreaker. So I like the In the Fleshes, the Thin Ice, Goodbye Blue Skies, Empty Spaces is good, especially the version from the movie, which, you know, there's a shorter version of it on here. Young Lost is a good tune. And One of My Turns I like quite a bit. It's like Roger Waters' maniacal side. Hey You and then Comfortably Numb is a Pink Floyd classic. And this is where Bob Ezrin starts to come in, and you can really hear his influence even more on this one. Especially with, you know, he gets uncredited songwriting here. And was basically the tiebreaker on creativity and sound design between Gilmour and Roger, and how they mixed it. So I've got it at number 9, The Wall, 1979. Number 8 is going to be 1972's Obscured by Clouds. Which, this is a great listen to from end to end, and there's really not a bad track. The bonus of this, sorry, I'm holding it upside down. The bonus is you've got the 3 really good instrumentals, Obscured by Clouds, When You're In, and Mudmen. And those are like the glue that hold the album together if you're going to listen to it from end to end. I mean, they really make it make sense to you. And this is another one of those movie soundtracks for the French film The Valley, or La Vallée. I've never seen that film either. But it doesn't matter. The songs are cool. And it doesn't have all that filler that Moore has. The other tracks, the ones that I like, Bridges Burning, The Gold It's in the, and What's On the Deal. Childhood's End is one of the weaker songs. Now, Nick Mason's band plays it. It's okay. But I wish they would just keep it off the set list. It's not a great Pink Floyd song. It's just okay. Free 4 is one they'll play on rock radio. I mean, if you're listening to WAPL out of Appleton, Wisconsin, they'll play it sometimes or occasionally. Stay is okay. Absolute Curtains. So 1972, Obscured by Cloud, underrated album for Pink Floyd. Also from recorded in the same year but released in 73, Dark Side of the Moon. Now, there's nothing not to like about this, other than perhaps I've heard it too many times. Like I said, I've been listening to it since 93. Some years I don't listen to it at all. In fact, most years anymore I don't listen to it. But classic Storm album cover, and just a bunch of great songs from end to end. There's not a bad track on it. The highlights for me are Time, Us and Them, Any Color You Like. It gets off to a great start with Speak to Me as the first track, and Breathe in the Air. You know, for me, that's what makes an album a great album. Can you just put it in and listen to it from end to end? And this one you can for sure. It starts off great. And a funny story on this, I was always confused about, like, where the songs begin and end, especially in the early days. Like, I didn't know what was Speak to Me and what was Breathe in the Air and what was On the Run, like, in Time. And at the end of Time, it goes back to the reprise of Breathe in the Air. So it's, like, confusing, for especially if you're not sitting here, like, reading the lyrics or the album cover. But yeah, just a great, and it's a classic, and you know, it's worthy of top 10 albums in rock and roll history, really. And that's where people have it, in the top 5 for sure. For me, it's my number 7 favorite Pink Floyd album. All right. Number 6, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. This is the Pink Floyd debut. And the band is Syd Barrett, Rick Wright, Roger Waters, and Nick Mason. And it's got this really Beatles-esque album cover. So great, great album. It's great from end to end, you know, and it starts off with Astronomy Domini or Domine. And Lucifer Sam, Siam Cat. You know, what's not to like about this album? It's not really a prog rock album like Pink Floyd is, but it's more like a folksy rock and roll. At some points, it's like hard rock. And then, you know, you got that zany Syd Barrett stuff going on, which I quite like a lot, you know, with Bike and the Gnome and Matilda Mother. It's like there's these funny songs on this album. And, I mean, you got to be in the right mood to listen to it, but certainly an excellent beginning for Pink Floyd. And I kind of wonder what the band would have been like had Syd not gone cuckoo crazy. And you know, they could have been great, right? But I've got Piper at the Gates of Dawn at number 6. Number 5, we're starting to get into the top 5 here. Adam Heartmother. You got this great cow on the cover, and you got cows on the back. It's all about, you know, trying to be really earthy and down to earth. And that's sort of how the music is. Now to me, you got these blues tracks, like bluesy elements, especially in the Adam Heartmother Suite, which is the 23-minute opener. And you got this big orchestra playing. So you got all these strings and brass in the orchestra on Adam Heartmother Suite, and then you've got all this funk and blues and jazz pulled into it all at the same time. And it moves sort of seamlessly from one part to the next in Adam Heartmother. And it's just great. And now what I'll say about this, it's good to listen to this, but if you've ever heard the version that doesn't have the orchestra, it's even better, where you can just hear the band. But then also my favorite version of the Adam Heartmother Suite is the Nick Mason Saucerful of Secrets version. They've got it condensed down to about 9 minutes. Man, is it good. It is really good. And I would say that some of my favorite versions of the Pink Floyd songs come from live albums, not necessarily the studio albums. And so when I think of Adam Heartmother Suite, I think of this, but I also think of those other 2 versions I just mentioned, and that's why I've got it rated really high. There's a lot of awesome jamming on this record. And that's like, you can hear it, especially in the Adam Heartmother Suite, but also in Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast. They're just kind of, the band's just kind of pulling together a track, and it's got some prog in it. It's heavy on keys. Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast, you can hear all the sound effects that they like to use, like the guy saying marmalade and marmalade, and you can hear the bacon frying and they're cooking eggs. It's just a good song, and it's surprisingly good for me. Adam Heartmother, 1970. All right. Number 4, from 1971, Pink Floyd Meddle. All right. This is great. Now, to me, this is like a better version of Adam Heartmother, which is, you know, in Adam Heartmother, you've got this really long 23-minute song, and it's really organic, and you got the orchestra and the blues and the jazz, and it sort of sounds like it's a Western. Like, I think Roger Waters and David Gilmour called it the Magnificent Seven theme song. Like, it's just like, that's like a Western almost. So you got this Western mix and then jazz and blues, and it's real organic in the orchestra and everything all woven into one song. Well, with Meddle, you've got Echoes, which is like, it's their epic that started as like one of those space songs, and they changed the space theme to Marine. And they did that because Roger Waters hates the label that they're space rock, and that space rock comes from Astronomy Domini and Interstellar Overdrive. He doesn't like that, and that's not his vision of the band, and so they're trying to sort of get away from that. Hence, you've got the blue and the greens, you know, the real nautical marine themes here. And the songs are fitting. One of These Days, A Pillow of Winds, Fearless, Saint-Tropez, Seamus, and Echoes. Great album to listen to from end to end. And I think it's just an upgrade over Atom Heart Mother. It's the follow-up to Atom Heart Mother, and it's just a little bit better in every way. And A Pillow of Winds is this nice fluffy song, and then Fearless is this acoustic guitar jam that I like. And then Saint-Tropez is the Roger Waters song singing about the island. I've got it at number 4, Meddle, 1971. All right, let's go to number 3. Now we're in the top 3. Saucerful of Secrets, 1968. End to end, it's an enjoyable listen, and it's got 2 of the best songs on here. Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun and A Saucerful of Secrets. Now, the rest of the album isn't as strong as those 2 songs, but those 2 are particularly strong. But the better versions of those songs are on either Live at Pompeii or the Nick Mason Saucerful of Secrets. But, I mean, this is great to listen to end to end. You've got Remember a Day by Rick Wright, which they recorded during the Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Sounds like maybe it would probably be a better fit there. Jug Band Blues is a Syd Barrett song that they stuck on at the end. And that sounds like it could have fit on the Piper at the Gates of Dawn. But they fit here. They work. It works. And then you got Seesaw, which is a nice, light Rick Wright composition. Nick Mason's team played it. They've been playing it the last few years, and it makes the listener feel like you're on a seesaw. Like, just, it's this nice, light, happy song. And then you've got Let There Be More Light and Corporal Clegg, which are the Roger Waters tracks. But great album. Cool CD. You know, they kind of made it like mosaic-y. And the front cover is like a mosaic, and it's got almost like a mosaic, and then they added a Doctor Strange album cover to it. So it's cool. It's cool. You can see, if you look real closely in here, you can see Doctor Strange in there. But that's 1968's A Saucerful of Secrets, number 3. Number 2, Wish You Were Here from 1975. That's the 5 tracks are amazing, and each one of them is strong. And it's just strong in each in their own way. And it's a powerful story. It's a concept album. It's mainly about Syd Barrett and how he got lost, and you can hear that theme in the 2 Shine On You Crazy Diamonds. It's got Have a Cigar and Welcome to the Machine, which are sort of like anti-music industry songs and anti-music industry executives and lashing out at the industry itself. And then Wish You Were Here is a song that ties it together, which is, you know, probably their most popular song. I would say Wish You Were Here is. And it's got great lyrics. Roger Waters was super inspired back then and wrote all the lyrics and drove this thing. And you've got excellent keyboard playing by Rick Wright. He was super inspired. I guess Syd and Rick were great friends, and you know, it's just a good album. I mean, honestly, it's hard to decipher in the top 3 which is the best ones. And I've got this at number 2. It's hard for it to not be number 1, but also it's hard for it to not be number 3. I've got it at number 2. Wish You Were Here. And then number 1, lastly, is Animals from 1977. This album's amazing. You got 5 tracks. The 3 dogs, pigs, 3 different ones, and sheep, they make up the bulk of the album. You got bookends of Pigs on the Wing, part 1 and 2 are the rappers. You know, Roger Waters just singing about, it's a love song to his wife. Cool album cover. And, you know, it's a story, it's a concept album, and it's inspired by George Orwell's Animal Farm. And essentially, I'm sure you know the story. It's about the pigs are the capitalist ruling class and how they dominate everyone, and the dogs are the business people of the world. They're the businessmen that run things for the pigs, and they're all out there to accomplish all their goals, and they're sort of bossing around the sheep. And the sheep are just the people that do what the dogs tell them to do, and it's a great, it's a controversial concept, but great songs, great songwriting, and then each of those three songs has this middle interlude of keyboards and synths and other noises to scare you, but it's what makes the album really. And it's, even though the album's driven by Waters, and then you got Gilbert's amazing contribution on Dogs, this is really some of Rick Wright's best playing. And he's not credited as a songwriter, but I'm sure a lot of that was his ideas in the middle, just doing those middle interludes. It's him showing off. And love it. Love it. So this is my favorite. It's been my favorite. Those three tracks, they'll become earworms. They'll just get in your head, and you'll be singing them all day long. And you'll have the riff in your head for Dogs or Sheep or Pigs, three different ones. They'll be there. And you can't stop listening to it once you start. So that's why it's my favorite. And I think that's the tiebreaker, just for how long that album had a grip on me. And so there we go. We got a good stack of records here, and let's just go through the rundown. Before we do that, a lot of my knowledge comes from this book, Saucerful of Secrets, the Pink Floyd Odyssey. This is one of the original prints. Nicholas Schaffner is the author. It's almost like an encyclopedia. But some years later, Nick Mason came out with his own Pink Floyd book, and I would imagine that's more up to date, and probably I haven't read that, but that would probably be a good resource for you too, if you're interested in Pink Floyd content. Let's go through the rundown. I've got more. Number 15. I've got The Endless River. Number 14. Ummagumma studio album, or Ummagumma. Number 12, The Final Cut. Number 11, The Division Bell. Number 10, Momentary Lapse of Reason. Number 9, The Wall. Number 8, Obscured by Clouds. Number 7, Dark Side of the Moon. Number 6, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Number 7, Adam Heartmother. Number 4, Meddle. I think I just misspoke. That's okay. Number 3, Saucerful of Secrets. Number 2, Wish You Were Here. And number 1, Animals. All right, thanks everyone. You can go ahead, if you like the list, leave your comments. If you disagree, leave comments. I'm gonna make a few more of these. I've got some other plans on more videos to make, and I'll keep them coming. I'll try to do one every week or two. But I really enjoy doing this, and if you like Pink Floyd as much as I do, you'll like listening to this. And Pink Floyd's very deep and personal to me. All right, so thanks everybody.